I'm Emma. Standing at the altar, I was about to start a new chapter in my life. But just as the music swelled and the guests rose, I couldn't help but cast a glance back at the empty space where my father should have been. The silence was deafening, and I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me. It all started on the day of my wedding. I was in the bridal suite, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. I was standing in my wedding dress, a hand pressed against my ribs, trying to steady my breathing before the music changed. The room was filled with the soft glow of candles, and my bouquet of white roses lay on the vanity, waiting. My fiancé, Ryan, was already waiting at the altar, and the guests were all seated. My veil was pinned in place, and I was ready to walk down the aisle. I wanted to believe that for once, nothing from my family could touch me in this moment. But then, my phone buzzed on the vanity. I almost let it ring. I didn't want to be interrupted, not now. But when I saw my sister Lily's name on the screen, a chill ran down my spine. I answered the phone, and before I could say a word, she let out a soft, cruel laugh. "Don't wait for Dad," she said. He chose to stand with me. The room went silent around me. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. "How could you do this?" I whispered. She didn't hesitate. "You should have known your place." My fingers tightened around the phone until they hurt. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All my life, I had been the quiet one, the one who always put others first. Every birthday, Lily had demanded more attention. Every family dinner, her feelings had mattered more than mine. And every proud moment of mine, Dad had looked away because choosing me would have made Lily angry. I stared at myself in the mirror, dressed like a bride, but feeling like the forgotten daughter all over again. I thought I would have to walk down that aisle alone, with everyone watching me search for the father who had chosen not to come. Just then, the door behind me swung open. It was Mrs. Thompson, the retired librarian who had been like a mother to me. She took one look at my face, then at the phone in my hand, and closed the door behind her. "What did she do this time?" she asked. That question almost broke me. It meant she understood. She had watched me grow up, seen the way my family treated me. I handed her the phone without saying a word. Lily had already hung up, but her words still filled the room like a toxic cloud. Mrs. Thompson read the message she had sent before the call, and her face hardened. "She told you this now?" I nodded. 5 minutes before the ceremony. Mrs. Thompson's mouth tightened. Cruel people love timing. It lets them pretend the damage was accidental. I wanted to defend my family out of habit. I wanted to say that maybe Dad had misunderstood, maybe Lily had panicked, maybe it was all just a big misunderstanding. But those excuses had carried me through childhood, and they felt empty now. Mrs. Thompson stepped closer. "Emma, your father's failure today is not proof that you are hard to love." I looked down at my dress and laughed without humor. "Then why does he keep proving I'm easier to leave?" She didn't flinch. She had known me since I was a shy little girl who stayed after school to help in the library because I didn't want to go home. She had noticed when I stopped bringing permission slips back signed because Dad forgot, and Mom only promised to remind him. She had sat beside me at my graduation when Dad's chair had been empty. "Emma, you have spent your life being reasonable so other people could be selfish without consequences." "Not today," she said. My throat burned. "I still want him here." Her voice softened. "Of course you do. Wanting your father doesn't make you weak. But wanting him doesn't mean he has earned the right to stand beside you." Just then, there was a soft knock on the door. The wedding coordinator whispered that Ryan had asked if I needed anything. I closed my eyes. Ryan could feel my pain from across the building, while my own father could ignore me from across a lifetime. Mrs. Thompson touched my shoulder. "You don't have to decide this second, but remember who you are before you let them tell you." I turned toward the mirror. For a moment, I saw the little girl who had searched every crowd for a man who always chose other people's needs. Then I saw the grown woman who had built a life outside the house that had taught her to shrink. I picked up my bouquet. I need to know what she said to him. Mrs. Thompson nodded. Then let's stop letting her control the story. When I opened the bridal suite door, my hands had stopped shaking, but my heart felt bruised. Mrs. Thompson walked a step behind me, close enough to catch me if I broke, but far enough to let me stand on my own. The hallway outside the ceremony room was narrow, lined with framed photographs of the old library where Ryan and I had chosen to get married. It should have felt warm and inviting, but instead, it felt like a tunnel leading straight back into the family pattern I had spent years trying to escape. I made it halfway to the side entrance before I saw Lily. She was standing beneath a brass wall lamp in her champagne bridesmaid dress, one hip against the wall, phone in her hand, a smug smile on her face. She looked polished and expensive, like every room was a stage she had already claimed. "There she is," she said. "I wondered if you were going to hide until everyone got uncomfortable." I stopped a few feet away. "Where is Dad?" She tilted her head. "You mean the man I told you not to wait for?" Her eyes flicked to Mrs. Thompson. "This is family business." Mrs. Thompson stayed calm. "Then perhaps you should have acted like family." Lily laughed. "She runs to a librarian on her wedding day. That tells you everything." I stepped forward. "Tell me what you said to him." "I told him the truth," she said. "No," I said. "You told him whatever would make him feel guilty enough to choose you." Her smile sharpened. "Maybe he chose me because he finally admitted I needed him more." There it was. The sentence that explained our whole childhood. Lily never wanted love unless it proved she could take something from me. "You needed him more? Today?" I asked. She looked me over. "Come on, Emma. Stable job. Perfect little doctor husband. All your teacher friends acting like you saved the world because you listen to kids cry for a living. You love being the noble one. You'll survive disappointment. I'm the one people actually notice when I fall apart." For a second, I almost pitied her. But I had spent too many years being hurt by her selfishness to let her off the hook. "So you called me before my wedding to tell me Dad abandoned me because you wanted attention," I said. Her face hardened. "No. I called because someone needed to remind you that you are not the center of this family just because you found a man willing to marry you." The old me would have looked away, would have softened my voice. But that woman was not standing there anymore. "This is my wedding," I said. "You were invited to stand beside me." And somehow that still was not enough. Lily pushed off the wall. "Do you know what people have said all morning? How tasteful this place is. How sweet it is that a school counselor and a doctor found each other. Everyone is eating up your humble bride story." I stared at her. "So, that is what this is about. You wanted the photos, the compliments, the credit. And when people started seeing me instead of you, you attacked the one thing you knew would hurt most." Her nostrils flared. "Dad knows you are stronger. He worries about me because I matter in a way you never understood." Before I could answer, Mom appeared at the end of the hall. She was hurrying toward us, tears already in her eyes. "Please," she whispered. "Not here, not today." I turned to her. "Did you know?" Her face collapsed. "Emma, did you know Dad was not planning to walk you down the aisle?" She glanced at Lily, then back at me. That glance told me enough. "He was upset," Mom said. "Your sister was upset. Everything happened so fast." I went cold. "So, you knew." "I thought he would come around," Lily rolled her eyes. "See? This is what she does. She makes everything sound like a crime scene." I looked at her. You hurt people and call their pain drama. The hallway fell silent. Even Mom stopped crying for a breath. Lily recovered first. Say whatever you want. The ceremony starts in 2 minutes. Without Dad, everybody will wonder what you did to make your own father stay away. That was the ugliest part. She had imagined the whispers, the empty space, my face trying not to break. She had enjoyed it and called it truth. The coordinator appeared, nervous and pale. Emma, the music is ready whenever you are. Lily lifted her chin. Go on then. Show everyone how strong you are. I looked at Mom. Where is he? She couldn't answer. Then the side door opened behind her. My father stepped inside, and the look on his face told me he already knew he had chosen wrong. He looked older than he had that morning, like the weight of what he had done had aged him. He stood inside the side entrance in his dark suit, one hand near the door handle. His eyes moved from me to Lily to Mom to Mrs. Thompson, then down to the floor. Lily's confidence cracked instantly. Dad. Why are you here? That question destroyed every excuse he could have offered. He was not late by accident. He had been somewhere else because Lily expected him to stay there. Dad swallowed. I came to talk to Emma. Lily stepped toward him. We already talked about this. He flinched at we, and I saw the pattern clearly. She didn't ask for support. She claimed it. I looked at him. Were you going to let me stand there waiting for you? He opened his mouth but nothing came out. Mom whispered, Richard, please. Mrs. Thompson stood beside me, silent and steady. Dad finally said, I was going to come in before the music started. I almost laughed. Before the music started? Or after I had accepted that you were not coming? His face tightened. Your sister was very upset. It is my wedding day, I said. I know that. Do you? My voice stayed low, but the hallway seemed to lean toward it. She called me 5 minutes before the ceremony and said you chose her. Not that you were delayed. Not that there was a misunderstanding. She said you chose to stand with her. Dad closed his eyes for half a second, and I knew he had heard that phrase before. She was afraid, he said. Afraid of what? Lily cut in. Of losing her family. Of being pushed aside while everyone worships you today. Nobody pushed you aside, I said. You were in my bridal party. As decoration, she snapped. As proof that you are the forgiving little sister. Dad raised a hand. Enough. But the word had no power because he always used it after the damage was done. I looked at him again. What did she tell you? He rubbed his face. She said she felt like you were replacing us. That this wedding was about your new life and the people from your work. And that she felt humiliated. So your solution was to make sure I felt that way instead, I said. He looked wounded, as if my clarity was unfair. I was trying to keep peace. That sentence landed like a slap. It was the family prayer. Keep peace. Stay quiet. Do not upset Lily. Do not make Dad choose. Be easier. Be stronger. Be less. Mrs. Thompson finally spoke. Peace that depends on one child swallowing pain is not peace. It is training. Dad looked embarrassed. This is a family matter. It became more than that when your daughter needed an adult and you chose convenience, Mrs. Thompson said. Lily laughed harshly. Now the librarian gets to lecture us. Mrs. Thompson didn't look at her. She kept her eyes on my father. A child should never have to become low maintenance to be loved. The words moved through the hallway like quiet thunder. Dad's jaw worked, but he did not answer. I remembered every time I was called mature when I was really abandoned. Every time I was praised for understanding when I had stopped expecting protection. Every time Lily exploded and got comfort while I stayed calm and got forgotten. Dad, I said, did you tell her I always make things emotional and difficult? His eyes flicked to Lily. There it was. I was frustrated, he said. Did you? I said you and I have had tension. Lily snapped, you said she always turns everything into a test. I looked at her. Thank you. Her face changed when she realized she had helped me. Dad went pale. Emma, I did not mean it like that, he said. Then how did you mean it? He had no answer. I stepped closer. You reward whoever screams loudest and punish whoever stays quiet. Then you call the quiet one difficult when she finally speaks. Mom cried harder. Please, sweetheart. He came. He is here now. I turned to her. He came because the story might make him look bad. Not because I was hurt. Dad's face crumpled, but this time I did not save him from shame. He needed to feel it. If I had not found out, I asked, would you have come to me before the ceremony and told me yourself? The silence was complete. Dad looked down. Mom covered her mouth. Lily stared at him, uncertain. That silence answered more honestly than he ever would. He would have let me wait. He would have let me wonder. Lily recovered first. Tell her. Tell her you chose me because I needed you. Dad did not look at her. He did not look at me either. My sister had used my father's weakness as a weapon, and he had handed it to her because it was easier than becoming the parent I needed. The coordinator approached. Emma, we really do need to begin. I looked toward the closed doors. For years, I had imagined walking through them with my father. Now I understood the aisle was no longer about tradition. It was about truth. Dad must have sensed the change in me because panic broke through his shame. Let me walk you down the aisle, he said. The words should have healed something. Once, they would have. Once, I would have grabbed them like bread, telling myself he had come around, that families made mistakes, that the important thing was he was here now. But standing in that hallway with Lily's cruelty still ringing in my ears, and my father's silence still answering the question he would not, I understood the difference between a gift and a rescue attempt. He did not offer because he had protected me. He offered because the doors were about to open and people would see what he had done. No, I said. Dad blinked. What? Mom gasped. Lily stared, then started to smile like my refusal was another wound she could enjoy. Emma, Dad said softly, the way he used my name when he wanted forgiveness before an apology. Do not do this. I looked at him carefully. This was the man who had taught me to scan rooms for disappointment before joy. The man who remembered Lily's appointments, photo shoots, heartbreaks, launches, moods, and emergencies, but forgot my award nights, my counseling graduation, my first day at the school where I helped children feel seen. He was not a monster. That made it harder. He was a father who loved me in theory and failed me in practice, then expected the theory to be enough. You do not get to perform fatherhood at the last minute, I said. Mom reached for my hand. He is still your father. I pulled back gently. Then he should have acted like one before there was an audience. Lily's smile vanished. She had expected tears, not boundaries. So what? You are going to punish him forever because I told you the truth? You did not tell me the truth, I said. You arranged a humiliation and called it honesty. You are being dramatic. No. I am being clear. She looked at Dad. Say something. But Dad only stood there, finally learning what it felt like to want a place beside someone and not be allowed to claim it. The coordinator whispered that the doors needed to open. Guests were waiting. Ryan was waiting. My future was waiting. And my family did not have the right to delay it. I turned toward Mrs. Thompson. She had stayed silent, hands folded, eyes full, but steady. She looked shocked when my gaze landed on her, like she had never imagined herself at the center of this moment. That was why I wanted her there. She had never loved me for an audience. Mrs. Thompson, I said, my voice shaking, would you walk with me? Her eyes widened. Emma, you were there when your father missed the scholarship ceremony. You signed the recommendation that helped me get into college. You sent me books when I became a counselor. You taught me that children who feel unwanted are not unworthy. You told me today I did not have to disappear from my own life. Tears filled her eyes. If anyone walks me down that aisle, I said, it should be someone who showed up before anyone was watching. Mom sobbed into her hands. Dad turned pale. Lily's face shifted from disbelief to rage. You are replacing Dad with a librarian? At your wedding? She hissed. No, I said. I am choosing the person who treated me like I mattered when there was nothing to gain. Lily's laugh cracked. Everyone will think you are making some pathetic statement. Good, I said. Maybe some statements need to be made. Dad stepped forward. Emma, please, do not embarrass me like this. I saw the little girl.